boy, boy, boy. Woo! Hey, y'all just don't know. Story time. What's up? Come on, how you doing?
All right, y'all.
Hey, send me a request over here on IG too. It's story time, y'all. It's Sunday afternoon. Sunday afternoon. Let me see. Let me get my guest up in here. Let me see. Chef. There you go. We may have to turn the volume down on one device. Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn. Get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. I can't take you right now, D Bundy. I got to get my Chef Wayne up in here. Because it's time to shine. Listen. Let me just stop for a minute, y'all. Y'all don't understand what be going on behind the scenes sometimes when people be doing these things. Y'all have no clue what's going on. I just want to say good afternoon on this April. How you doing, Wayne?
I'm good, baby. I'm good. God is good. You know, I'm hanging in there, doing my thing. I'm a good
Wow. I want you to I want you to position your camera so we kind of somewhat even a little bit. And you do that. Not you good on the left, right. I just want you to bring it closer to you. And then I'm going to send you this request over here on IG. So if you come, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Now just turn yourself. I know you got to position yourself. Turn yourself so the viewers can see you on both. Yeah. Now that's good. Now just swing your camera. There you go. Keep swinging. Perfect. Okay. Now you can just accept my request on IG. We be in there. Ladies and gentlemen, I got a good one for you today. I got a young man out of Brooklyn, New York. New York City coming to you with some skills from the grill. Some skills from the grill. Located right now. Where you live at right now, Wayne?
I'm in northern England. It's an area called Preston, which is like near Manchester.
Near Manchester. Okay. I need to make sure my sound is right over here, y'all. Let me get my sound. I'll be right back. I'm getting my sound right on this. I need to make sure I got my Bluetooth over here on. Whew, do you see my request on IG?
I'm looking for it now. Yeah. Looking for it. Maybe it's under my other one.
Yeah, on IG you should see me. Hey, Kate Cree, how y'all doing? I sent the request one. I could send it again to you. Let me see. Yeah. I hope everybody's having an amazing afternoon. I hope everybody is doing well wherever you are in the world. We're excited. We're excited because we're talking to somebody today outside of the United States, so that's a good thing. You know, we're branching out. Okay, I need to make sure. Okay, I hear echo, so you must have it on. There you go. There you go. So now let's turn the volume down on. I'll turn my volume down on one. We'll turn it down on one device. That's good. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Cool. Yeah. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I'm so excited because we have a good buddy of mine. We went to high school together, Jamaica High in the building.
40 years ago?
New York City, man. Oh my God, how long ago was that? We graduated in 1978. Did you graduate with me and Val too? We all graduated.
Yes, I did. We all graduated together. Yeah.
Wow, that's truly amazing.
It seemed like a lifetime ago.
It does seem like a lifetime ago, but you know what? It's a blessing to be able to talk about it. It's a blessing to still be alive to talk about something being a lifetime ago. So listen, guys, we got Chef Wayne Lyons. He was born in Brooklyn, New York City. Then he moved to Queens, out there with Jamaica High. And from there, you went to Jersey, huh?
Yeah, went to downtown New Jersey.
Oh man, you went from doing the architecture thing to going to Marriott. Next thing you know, you found the love for cooking. You know, you established the catering company. And I remember when we did that first reunion and we came to your restaurant out there in Jersey.
Oh yeah.
That was so amazing.
That was really nice having
found the wife. How is the wife doing?
She's doing all right. You know, we had a bit of a scare. You know, she wasn't well for a minute, but she's fine now. You know, so you know we're doing good. Actually, we're looking forward to making a trip out to not St. Louis, St. Lucia. You know, to meet up with some friends. So yeah, things are good. Life is good.
St. Lucia, man. So
yeah.
So you out there in Manchester right now? Where's Manchester for those who don't know? What is that near?
Okay. All right. You have London, you know, and that area. That's south. Manchester. We're close to Manchester, but we're actually in an area called Preston. That's north. That's the northern part of England, going towards Scotland. So yeah, that's where we are.
Now, somebody in there done tasted your food. Hope Village said, "We miss your food, Chef Wayne." You see that in the comments? Somebody said, "From Wet and Wilds." Julie said, "Hey, Wayne, this is Julie from Wet and Wilds, Wales."
Yeah.
You know, that's good. I got another chef just came on here, B. Manuel. He actually cooks as well. So let's talk about that. Before you got into it, you started a business with the missus. I remember that when you opened Soul Flavors Restaurant out there in Jersey. How did that happen? When did you?
Well, we thing about it is that as you mentioned, we were doing catering prior to that, and catering business had kind of slowed down because of the economy. A lot of the businesses that we were doing business with basically didn't have the budget, you know, for outside catering anymore. So we had to figure out how we were going to diversify and how we were going to be able to, you know, continue to make money. I've always had a dream of opening my own restaurant, and my sous chef, who's like my brother, Sean Santana, he was with me since he was 16 years old.
Wow.
Between Sean, myself, and my wife, we decided we would, you know, take a punt and open a restaurant. So that, you know, once we decided what we were going to do, we had to find a location. It just so happened that you know, I had found a building in Jersey City, which I loved, and I moved there, met my wife. Then subsequently, once after I met her, we found a space that was literally like, say, 10 minutes from where we lived, which was perfect, you know, and that's basically how it happened. I mean, you know, it was something that it always was a how can I say, a dream of mine to do it at some point. But because of situations, it kind of like not forced the issue, not forced to him, but it kind of like played out in the way that it did.
And I see that you gave the sous chef a lot of credit. Now on IG, I need you to come over a little bit on IG. I got you perfect on the other camera. There you go, perfect. So it is really good that you take time to acknowledge him, because a lot of time people forget those who helped them to get with it going. So I'm happy to know that you acknowledge that young man who served there with you. And so a lot of people don't understand the difference, Wayne, between being a sous chef and being a chef. Can you talk about that? Like, there's different levels to cooking and being in the kitchen. A lot of times people meet people and they say they're the sous chef. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What is that exactly for those who don't know?
Well, basically, executive chef or head chef, he's the one who is more or less in charge. He is the one generally writes the menus, generally is the one who does the hiring and firing, and, you know, is more or less in charge of the kitchen, you know, in charge of service and what have you. Sous chef is his right hand, is the person who, whatever, he picks up the slack where the chef, can't deal with certain things. He also helps co-manage the kitchen. He manages the staff. Generally, the sous chef has more of a one-on-one with the staff as opposed to the head chef. He also does helps with the menu at times, depending on the relationship and depending on the experience. And also helps kind of like when I would go on vacation, or my wife and I would go on vacation, the sous chef Sean would step in, take my part. He would play, you know, he would take my responsibility over and kind of run the restaurant in my absence. So it's a very, very important position, and with a lot of responsibility, you know. And if you know anything about the restaurant business, it can be extremely stressful. So you need a person.
Cooking can be stressful because, you know, they're the ones who are making the menu and responsible for all those things. And anybody that had to take on the administrative part as well as, you know, the cooking and culinary things. I'm sure that is
Yeah,
stressful.
yeah, it can be very. So you need a calm head. You know, you can't. Although, you know, chefs get a bad rap sometimes. You know, you hear about these chefs always cussing and carrying on and throwing things or what have you. But to be able to run a successful business, you know, you have to be able to be calm and be able to handle the pressure.
Now, you had a lot of different cuisines. What was your specialty?
Well, the core menu basically was Southern Southern American, which is soul food, and Caribbean. Now, we also obviously did other things like for the chef specials. It could be Mediterranean, could be Italian, could be Spanish, could be, you know, any different. It could be Asian. You know, there would I like to. It could be African. I like to be able to infuse different flavors and different cuisines. You know, mix them up and, you know, and come up with my own creations, what have you. But it was always about playing. You know, always about having fun and about, you know, watching people enjoy what it is that I provided to them.
Now, when everybody can't cook, I mean, let's just keep it real. Everybody can't get in the kitchen and make things happen. You know, everybody can't get in there and mix up some things and make it look good, make it smell good, and make it, most of all, taste good. So I do believe that it is a gift. It is a gift because I believe that people can even go to culinary school and still not be successful at it. I mean, do you agree?
Very true. No, I definitely agree. I think I always saw my, as you put it, my gift as a gift from God. Um, you know, there were things I was never really formally trained. I did take some classes, some continuing education classes when I worked for Marriott, but most of my experience was on the job. You know, whether it be working in kitchens with other chefs that I found to be extremely talented and what have you, who openly shared their experience and their knowledge with me. But a lot of it was me reading. You know, from a very young age, I used to read cookbooks. You know, my aunt was a home ec teacher, so she used to bring home these cookbooks, and for us, because we didn't have a lot of money, it was a way of me being able to experience other cultures and other lands through, you know, these cookbooks and through food. So yeah, but definitely, it was a God given gift because
So,
everybody, you know, you can't you know, because you go to school doesn't mean you can cook.
so let me ask you a question. If we come across somebody and they try to say, hey, you know what, they can cook, right? What is something that you can ask an individual that has been to culinary school or they act like they know what they're doing? What's something you can ask them to really find out if they really have skills in the kitchen?
Well, you know, you can ask them a lot of things, and people might have the book knowledge, but the real test is to be able to see what they do in the kitchen. You know what I mean? Because it's like a CV, you know, or what you call resume. You know, things might look good on paper, but you really won't know what a person's about until you get them actually in a kitchen cooking. So I would say that would be the way that you could tell whether or not somebody's really about something or not, you know, or not. You
and
know?
what is the proper way, especially if it's a family or a friend? What is the most delicate way to let somebody know that the food is not good? Like, what's the easiest way to pay a nice, it's a nice nasty compliment, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when they ask you how was it, what from your perspective, what is the best way to do that?
Well, I'm gonna share with you a story. Um, one of the reasons why I got into cooking, right? Because my mom, you know, God rest her soul, you know, lovely woman. That woman could not cook. But so I mean, for me, you know, I got my appreciation for food because, you know, because that was one of the things I wanted to get into because it was almost like a sense of not survival, but, you know, it's something that I wanted to do because of the fact that she couldn't. So in answer to your question, if it were me, I'm never really how can I say
You never had
dissed
that
anybody.
experience?
I never did. No, I've had the experience. I just never dissed anybody on the food. What I say is it was okay. It was all right. It was nice.
So as a chef, do you ever offer suggestions? Well, next time maybe you could be light on the salt or heavy on this.
Oh no. You know something? Crystal, let me tell you something. As one thing, as a chef, and any chef that you talk to would tell you the same thing. That's one thing I would never do. I mean, I've had one instance where somebody tried to tell me something about my food. I didn't pay them any mind, but it's really that crossing the line. I may talk to my wife about the person who I might be with about, well, yeah, it could have taken this, it could have been a little bit. I would never make it a suggestion to a chef.
Really?
No,
never. Not even when you're complimenting them. I guess chef to chef, you're saying, but now like someone in the restaurant or someone just eating the food, they can ask questions. But you're saying chef to chef, it's kind of like it's a boundary.
Yeah, that's something that you just don't do. I mean, I know I wouldn't do it, but yeah, compliment, sure. I mean, I've complimented several times. I've been, if the food was really, really good, and I told my waiter or waitress, please give my compliments to the chef. Definitely.
I'm glad you said that, Wayne. A lot of people don't do that when they go out to eat. A lot of time we go to the restaurant, we tip the waiter and the waitresses, but a lot of people don't take time to send a message back to the kitchen. How does that make a chef feel when you hear from somebody out in the restaurant saying, man, compliments to the chef?
Well, for me personally, that's one of the things. That's why I do what I do. I do what I do because I want to be able to. For me, it's about sharing my love of food, and with my guests and what have you. So when somebody is receptive to that, when somebody enjoys what it is that I prepared, and they come back to me with positive feedback, I feel that I've been able to accomplish what it is that I set out to do. And it makes me feel, obviously, it makes me feel good. I mean, that's like, again, I mean, that's what I mean, even though I don't have a business anymore, I still work in different areas, which I'll get into later on. And, and when, it's all about being able to, it's about being of service.
Being of service. So now, Wayne, you've traveled around the country. You've been around the world cooking and eating. So have you tasted anything anywhere that made you go, man, I got to try that? Like, have you gone to another country and then seen or taste something that made you go, I need to add this to my menu?
Yeah. I mean, I've been several places. I mean, we've been blessed. My wife and I have been blessed to be able to travel. I mean, we worked hard. Don't get me wrong. I put it in, and I still put it in, but I really put it in, for most of my adult life. So now it's about reaping the benefits. So yeah, Indonesia. I was in Bali, and there was a dish that I had that I thought was, the food there is amazing. But yeah, there's certain things that I've had. As a matter of fact, I took a cooking class while I was one of the times when I was there, and the chef that I was working with showed me how to make certain things. There's a thing called sambal, which is like it's a chutney of sorts. And it was made with coconut and spices and what have you, and that was really nice. There's so much out there as far as food is concerned. That's just it's amazing. I can't even tell you this one thing. There's just so much out there.
Really, I don't like. You know what? When I go places, I think when I went to Greece, I tried something different. I tried to, when I went to Greece and Hawaii, different places, I try to taste different food. But I'm really a person that I'm peculiar about texture. And I like the familiar when it comes to my food. And I'm all about how it looks. Like the looks will scare me, and sometimes the sounds, like, because I remember when people say that's octopus and stuff, I'm like, nah, never mind. So you have to fool me to get me to try certain things. So I think that a lot of people, when they travel, they go places to try the food because they heard, when they get there, they go, oh, I need to try this because they're in that place. Where's some places that you've gone just to like say, oh, while we here, we got to try this food. And you were like, man, yes, I see what it is, you know, in all the places that you traveled. What's like the top 3 places that you went there and you tried the dish that they're known for, and it was like, man, this was worth the trip?
Wow. Okay. Shit, yes, that's hard. Southern Spain. There are places right on the coast. They're called chiringuitos, and they sell fried fish. They have a dish called a let me pronounce it properly, a calalamito. No. Anyway, it's a baby squid. I can't pronounce it properly, but it is to die for. They have grilled sardines with a little bit of salt, freshly grilled off right off the grill. That's one place. Also, I went to northern Spain, and I wanted to get into. I wanted to go to the restaurant that I wanted to go. Unfortunately, was closed. It's supposed to be one. It was rated one of the best in the world, Bully, but it was closed. But we went to some other restaurants that were really good. We went to some friends of ours, and paella. Some of the local dishes. They, tapas. Different types of tapas. You know, Definitely that. Okay, where else? Oh man. Well, Jamaica. You gotta
Oh,
have the jerk. You gotta have the jerk when you go to Jamaica, you know what I mean? and the curry goat. I mean, those are things, I mean, ah,
yeah.
it's just
So what about the simple stuff like that we take for granted as New Yorkers, like, going to New York for that slice of pizza and the hot dog? There are some simple things too that people travel
girl, please don't even get me started because when I come home, I gotta get my dirt water done. I got I gotta hit, and that's right off the street corner. Gotta get my slice of pizza. Gotta get, and there are a couple of places that I've hit up. I forget, Carmine's was one that I
yeah.
went to most recently. But yeah, those are that bagel. Gotta get my bagel.
A bagel, and guess what? For me, for a long time, and I still do, I had to have that murder burger. I had to hit
I you
White
know
Castle. White
I haven't
Castle.
had I haven't had one in a long time, but that's one of the things that I would definitely get because I love. We used to like when we were partying and whatnot, coming back
Yes.
4 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning,
Yes.
hit up White Castle and get the murder burger.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
belly bombs, whatever you want to call them.
Uh, you know, and it's interesting when you think about cooking. A lot of times we don't appreciate cooking until we get older. A lot of
Mm,
times as a chef and people that are married and in relationship, I'm sure you can attest to this, and you can feel free to comment. People want to
mm,
be appreciated when they get in there, and a lot of people say they cooked with love.
mm.
Is that true, Wayne? Like, you feel like people that really have a love for it, you can tell the difference. Like, it don't have nothing to do with the ingredients, but when they cook with love, it whether they have the skill or not, whether they went to culinary school or not, something about when they have love, it just
Yeah,
does something to the food.
yeah. No, most definitely. That's one of the things that that I've always said. This my secret ingredient is love. I've been to a lot of different places. Some of these restaurants that I've been to in this country that were rated that were rated some of the best, one of the some of the best restaurants in the country. Some of these chefs, world renowned chefs and what have you. And I was underwhelmed. I'm not saying the food was bad, but it just was missing something. It wasn't, it didn't have that that you're looking for. Whereas I remember going to Mexico to it's an area called Mazatlan, and I remember going to a restaurant with my wife at the time, my ex-wife, and it was a grandmother who came out of the kitchen bringing the food. And let me tell you something. That food, I remember how the chili relleno tasted to this day. It
Wow.
was that good. I mean, oh God. Yeah, you can definitely tell, and it definitely makes a difference. And it's all about the passion. It's all about love. It's all about.
So Wayne,
Yeah,
before I
it's
go
been a lot.
into letting you talk about, because I know you've taken your experience from having a restaurant, from getting the results from the people, and you've actually put some things out there on the market. I know some people don't quite know what the culinary skills are, like when it comes to your knife skills, when it comes to all those different things, mastering your sauce. You've mastered your sauce to the point that you actually have a sauce now that you sell, and it's
Yeah.
jarred and you sell it. Correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, they have a website, soulflavorsuk.com. And although the sauces aren't available to purchase from the website, in the United States, people can always DM me on Facebook or on Instagram or what have you, and I will make sure that I will send the orders out to them. Uh, it's a gourmet chili sauces. I have 6 different sauces. 4 of them are like the main line. How can I put it? The original 4 sauces, and then I have 2 limited edition sauces that I'm making. And I think they're all damn good.
Wow.
They're
So how
so
did that
different.
happen? How did you make the decision? I'm going to make my own sauce and sell it, because I'm sure there may be somebody out here that, they're doing something, they're working in a job for someone else, and they're good at it. They get the compliment, but what was it that made you make the decision to just go for it?
Well, it was 2 things actually. My sisters, Valerie and Cheryl, they used to always tell me that I should bottle my marinades and my sauces. They've been after me for forever, telling me I should do that. So during the reason why I just decided to get down and do it was during the pandemic. I wasn't working. I had the time to really devote to developing the recipes and what have you, and putting the time to getting things, putting things together, getting the wheels in motion and putting things together to get the sauces up and running. So that's why, and I've just been continuing with it since then.
Wow. So if someone was to do that, what were some of the steps you had to take to make it happen? What did you have to do to get it out there? I mean, you had to start somewhere. What was your first step in doing that?
Well, because I worked in development, as a development chef, and that's an area where you're developing recipes, for, like, say, I was developing recipes for some of the major supermarkets, developing products rather for some of the major supermarkets in the United Kingdom. So during that time, I came, and some of the things that we were doing had to deal with chilies, and I always loved chilies and things like that, spices and what have you. Um, you have to develop recipes. That's the first thing you have to do. And then once you develop your recipes, you have to have a knowledge of how can I put this, nutrition. You should have a knowledge of it's a bit of science, food science as well, because when you're depending on what type of sauce you're putting out, if it's going to be what they call shelf stable, or if it's going to need to be refrigerated, you have to know the difference between that. What do you need to do to put in to combine in a sauce so that it can be shelf stable, so there's a bit of what do you call it, of
Preparation that goes
preparation.
into
Yeah, I was looking for the word, where you have to, like, you have to really look it up, and know what the hell you're doing before you research is what I'm talking about.
okay.
That you need to be doing before before you get involved in anything like that. So it's not just something that you can just figure, like one day you can decide, well, I want to do this, and just do it. You have to really put some time in.
So when you start out, would you recommend that people do like a taste test? You know how you go around and you have events where people can come and try it. Would you recommend that to someone?
Yeah, I would definitely do that. I would definitely suggest that. The best, I think the best way to do that is really with family and friends.
Because they're
You
gonna tell
start
you.
out with, they will tell you the truth. I mean, you start with them, because that's a lot of time. That's what I did. A lot of the things that I did, I prepared for for my folks and what have you, my sisters and what have you. And then once you feel that you feel confident with what you have, then you can kind of branch out, do like markets, street fairs, things of that sort.
Wow. So, how much management and leadership skill does it take to be a chef?
Well, it depends. If you're When it was myself and Sean, we were doing catering, it was just us, and then what we would do, we would hire people as we needed them. So the management portion of it was minimal. When you start opening up a business, whether it be a restaurant or a food service, you know, some sort of food service spot, and you're dealing with like several employees, then management is a real key part in the organization of your business because you're dealing with other people. One thing that I would suggest, that I would stress, is that regardless whether it's a two-person, a two-man operation, or 500-person operation, you need to have some sort of financial background.
Mm.
You need to know how to manage your money. I learned that the hard way. I'm telling you, it's crucial. So many people go into business and don't have any clue as to, how to manage money and what have you. And if you're gonna be doomed to fail.
Mm.
If you
I
don't,
call that falls under the business skills. You have to have some
mm-hmm.
business skills too,
Yeah,
because it is a
yeah,
business.
definitely.
So
The business. Yeah.
I think that's why you said do the research. So
Mm-hmm.
along with the preparation and having the kitchen skills, and the food preparation skills, you need to have the business skills. Now, you
Yeah.
also said a word a minute ago that I think is very vital. You have to have knowledge of nutrition too, right? How much does one really need to know about nutrition when they get into being a chef?
Well, depending on what area of the culinary you want to get into, if say if you're cooking for children, right? Then you have to know, like, there's certain guidelines you have to follow because, yeah, I don't know how it is in America, but over here you can only be a certain amount of salt and sugar in your dishes. So the recipes that are developed, you have to make sure that they meet the nutritional guidelines that have been set by the government.
Mm-hmm.
I would imagine it's probably something similar in the United States as well, because I know that it's been a big crackdown on soda and candies and sugar and salt and things of that sort. So that's what I'm talking about. If you're in a restaurant, less so, only because it's all about flavor. So if you go, like when we had Soul Flavors, nutrition wasn't an issue. If you're going to let's face it, you're going to come to eat fried chicken or something, or you're going to come to eat ribs or what have you. You ain't worried about calories or nutrition or what have you. As much as I sold wholesome food, you know, excellent quality food. Nutrition wasn't really an issue. So you understand what I'm saying?
Right, 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 right.
Yeah. So
So
yeah. So
nutrition is minimal, but how about, you said food preparation, and I know under food preparation can come with the recipes, because you said if you're going to go out there and you're going to bottle it up or create your own sauce or something, you have to be good with recipes, but you also have to be good with recipes if you're just going into the field, right? Because you have to be able to follow a recipe. And that's even like if you go into a food chain or a small restaurant. When a person comes into a place, like when you had your restaurant, they have to be able to follow instructions when you share your recipes with them, and they have to be able to do that, correct?
Well, that's very correct. Yeah, you have to, and one would think that it's not, because I don't find it very difficult, but then there are some people that find it a little bit more difficult to be able to follow direction. And that's where we come in, myself and say, Sean, you're the chef and the sous chef. You have to train people, and you can't assume that everybody that comes in, unless you're coming in with experience, with a lot of experience, then you could. And I still watch. We always watch people to see exactly what it is that they could do. But it's integral, in being able to put out food that's what I'm going to say. You have that's consistent. If
Yes.
it's in a restaurant, whether it be catering, you want consistency. You want somebody, if they're going to have that food, they're going to have a dish, say on Monday, April 1st, 2023. They come back next year, say, and you want them to be, and they want that same dish. You want it to taste the
Yes.
same.
Yes.
So
And
you
that's
have
why
to be
people
able to
go to
follow that
like
procedure.
McDonald's for the quarter pounder. Like they know no matter where they go around the
It's
world,
going to
when
be
they
the
go to
same.
that quarter pounder, it's going to taste the same. It's going to look the same. And
Yep.
so for chefs, it's the same thing. You want people to be able to do that. And they have to
Very true.
they have to have an acquired taste too, right? Is that correct? Because when they have to create these dishes, they have to know about the flavor and the taste as well. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because In answer to your question, yes, that's very true. It's about developing a palate. This is what we call it. That's what we say. In the field, you develop a palate over the years as far as knowing what goes with what as far as flavors and what have you. And also, it's fundamental knowledge also of certain types of cuisines. Once you've been working with food in the food industry for a while and you become familiar with different types of cuisine, you kind of you kind of have intuitively what kind of works with what as far as flavors are concerned. But it's important. It's extremely important.
But it's easy for you to say that. But for the
Hmm.
person who just a regular Joe, Mary, cooking in the kitchen, sometimes people don't know what goes together. And that was the next thing I was going to ask you. Can you share some tips for the average wife? She trying to keep her husband because they say the way to a man is through his stomach. She's trying to keep her man. Or to the woman who has to make that first impression. She got a brother coming over and she want to cook a good meal. She done asked him what's his favorite food. Is there some ingredients or some herbs or some tricks you can tell some people out here if they really want to do something simple
Well,
that can work, that can really make that first impression?
well, what I would say, first of all, if it's something, if you don't have any experience really in cooking and you want to try to impress somebody, first of all, find yourself a good cookbook. You know, I said because I could tell you, I could give you all the tricks and whatever, but if you never cooked before, it probably wouldn't work for you. But if you get a good cookbook, there's a lot of things on the market. All these meal kits that they sell now. That's another thing that you could do. They have these things on the market now that you can buy these meal kits, and what they do, they come with directions on how to put things together. Some of them are really good, from what I understand. I never bought one, but from what I understand, some of them are pretty good. And this, I mean, they have everything from vegan menus to all sorts. So that would be something I would suggest to the first time cook who wants to impress somebody. Maybe you want to go that route.
And then what are some ingredients or some herbs to stay away from? Like, what are the ones that they don't try them because half the time they just. I mean,
Well,
do you have any that you just don't use?
there really isn't anything. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I really don't like. That I really don't. No, I mean, there's things that I might not use that much of, in cooking they're very strong, in their flavor and their flavor profile. But other than that, no, I mean, I don't really shy away from anything, you
That's good.
know.
You said that.
Yeah, yeah.
Like when you make it, I remember you made me think like when you're making a sweet potato pie, you have to be careful because you could put too much nutmeg or something in it.
Make it.
Sometimes there's an
Mm-hmm.
ingredient that's strong and you taste it like, whoa, I put too much of that in there. So
Mm-hmm.
what comes to your mind about those strong ingredients that people need to be mindful of if they never use it? I think sage is another one. I think sage has a strong taste to it. I think I
Say, sage, is can be overpowering at times, but Nutmeg, I think, is a perfect example. Nutmeg and mace and those types of sweet spices, you have to be careful how you use them. First of all, what they say, you always start with a little bit of something. Because once you put it in, if you put it in too much, you can't take it out. You can always add more. You know what I mean? But if you put too much in, you can ruin something like that. So I always say, if it's something that you're not familiar with, or something that you might think might be a bit strong, you just start with putting a little bit in and tasting things as you season. You need to be tasting. And that way, you know exactly where you're at as far as the flavor goes. Because a lot of times, you find people, I've seen people go out to restaurants and or as soon as they get the dish, hit the table, they're hitting it with salt, or they're hitting it with this, they're hitting it with that, and they haven't even tasted the damn thing yet. So I'm saying, so that type of attitude goes with cooking too. People, they don't feel this season and they don't taste. How are you gonna know how do you know how the thing is going to taste if you don't taste it?
Yeah, and measure. Some people don't have to measure; they have an eye, and some people can just pour. And if you're in here and you have a question, whether you're a chef or a cook, or you just curious about something when it comes to cooking, by all means, feel free to ask a question. I'll let you ask Chef Wayne a question if you want to ask him a question. If you know Chef Wayne and he's helped you through your chef career, and you want to say something to him, I'll allow you to do that too. But measuring, sometimes people, I'm going to use sugar. Some people are good with measuring with sugar, and other people, they have an eye, like they can pour that thing in. And sometimes like Kool-Aid, let's talk about Kool-Aid, something simple, Kool-Aid. Some people love Kool-Aid, right? But then sometimes you could go, woo, because it's just, or sweet tea. Sometimes you go somewhere the tea is good, but it's like, woo.
It's way too sweet, yeah.
It dropped the sugar in that thing. Yeah. So, some people have a heavy hand, So is that something that they teach? Do they teach that in culinary school, how not to have a heavy hand?
Well, again, first of all, it's about, generally, if you're in school, you're following recipes anyway. So you're not cooking freestyle. It's like, I say freestyle, like our mothers, our grandmothers, and so forth. They ain't use no damn recipes. They cook. It's like what I call vibration cooking, or cook based on experience. But if you're in school, you're following recipes, and that's the safest way of being able to maintain some sort of control, and continuity, is by following recipes and what have you. And a chef, the instructor, will always know if a person followed the recipe or not once they finally taste the finished product, because they know what it's supposed to taste like. So that's what I would say. I mean, because you're not put this way, unless I remember I was at the Culinary Institute of America. I was taking a continuing education class, and that way, and in that class, the final exam was that you had to prepare a menu. You write the menu and you prepare the menu, and then you serve it to the class as well as to the head chef. And I've been working in the culinary field for some time already. By the time I took this class, so I knew what I was doing. So when the instructor came around and tasted what I prepared, he was quite impressed. Which made me feel good, because I mean, this man is, he's an instructor. He's in one of the most prestigious schools in America, culinary schools in America, and he's telling me he enjoyed what I prepared. So it's one of those things where I think it depends on experience as to whether or not you can get to the point where you can just, like I said, just kind of freestyle it, or you got to follow recipes.
Now, I know you have some powerful recipes. I was looking at some of the things you do, like, what the things you do on the weekend with your specials, and your soul-flavored meatloaf, and your cold soup, and your seafood crepes. But I also was looking at how you found a way to take what you do on the road. And I want you to talk about that, because there may be some people that never thought about it. Like the way that you are working as a relief chef for the England's premier football clubs. So
Mm-hmm.
there's opportunity outside of the restaurant for chefs. Like
Oh
sometimes
yeah.
some people get on the ships and stuff, but there's some
Mm-hmm.
opportunity on land. Can you talk about that?
Sure, there's plenty of opportunities, not just in the restaurant arena, but in, in this country as well as in America. You know, they have agencies where, you know, like for myself, because I consider myself to be semi-retired, I don't want a 9 to 5. I don't want to be working, you know, every day. So what I did, I signed up with a couple of agencies, and I'm able to get shifts at different places. I'm glad you mentioned that, Crystal, because one of the places in particular that I work at, yes, I do work with some of the major football clubs, and you know, and that's quite gratifying because I work with some very talented chefs, male and female chefs, and who have become really good friends of mine. So, you know, that's one thing. But the other thing is that I've been working at what they call bail hostels. And the bail hostels are places where people who have been incarcerated or like it's kind of like a halfway house, you
Mm-hmm.
know, where when you come out of jail and you know and you're finding your feet, you know, you stay in these places before you're released into society. And I've had the pleasure and I think the privilege of being able to work in a lot of these places and be able to talk to some of the men and women because I've worked in both who are going through this process and be able to provide them with really good food, which you know makes me feel good because the feedback I get from them, you know, is like you know because you have different chefs that come in. I'm not the only chef that will work these different facilities, and some of you could tell some of it's obvious that they've had some chefs in there that they have not been too happy with. Let's just say, you know, with what they
Wow.
provided. But I can honestly say that every time that I've served food, I've always they've always been very appreciative. And not only do I get the feedback from them about being appreciative of what it is I prepare for them, but it's also about giving back because I tell on occasion I've told a couple of these young brothers, and some of them not so young, some of them not you know close to our age. Um, you know, but for the grace of God, I could be where you are
Mm.
because, you know, Krista, you know me, you know what I'm saying? You know, but I don't know, you know, when I was younger, I was into, excuse my language, I was into some shit, you know, you know,
Okay.
you know what I mean? You know, I'm very lucky to be where I am. Put that way, it's between, I say, dumb luck and the grace of God and good for, and supportive family.
But
Because
that's a testimony because that's encouraging
mhm.
to somebody that needs to know. It doesn't matter what your past is like. You know what I mean? Don't get hung up on your past. Don't get hung up on
Don't
your
get it
mistakes.
twisted.
Or
Don't get it, you
not
know.
that person anymore. You can still
Hmm.
dream. You know, who would have
Yep.
thought that you would be going to all these countries cooking like this and you know,
No.
having sauces being sent all over the UK and everything
Hmm.
coming out of New York City. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who would have thought you would have had, you know, the Soul Flavors restaurant, you know?
Hmm.
So it is important. I'm glad you said that people dream. So if you're here and you just think you're stuck on a job, you know, dream. Like get out there, do what you have to do. Get around people. Like he said, go around people who are doing what you want to do. You know, did you talk to chefs? Did you talk to restaurant owners before you open up your own?
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that as well because I had the pleasure and the privilege of working with a dear friend of mine who's no longer with me. He's passed away. His name is Keith Jarrett. And I worked with he and his wife, Maureen. I worked with them in their catering company.
Yes.
And I worked with him at Marriott, you know, and I worked with him in his restaurant, you know, I pulled a couple of shifts there as well. And so I had the opportunity of getting some experience. And that's another thing I would suggest to anybody who is thinking about opening up or any kind of business that you plan on going into, whether it be restaurant or whatever. You find somebody, work for somebody who has the business that you want to get into, because there you can learn what to do and what not to do. You learn through other people's mistakes and through other people's successes. So it just makes
Yes.
sense, because you got all too often. My wife and I, we always talk about. She said, because she used to be a manager of, say, a family has a chain of convenience stores, for lack of a better term, and you got people who would get these stores and open them up and had no background in running a store at all and would fail. It's no way you're going to be able to make a go of a business if you have no background, no experience in it at all. So I mean, it just makes sense.
And then it's big when you do it, because when I look at your resume and I look at, you created a recipe for Marriott that is now still being used when it comes to the pasta dish, right? You created a pasta dish that is now being used nationally for Marriott. Is that correct?
Yeah, when I was working for them, they had a station section that they call Pasta Pronto, and in that particular section, they had like about three or four sauces. I developed, I believe, three sauces for them.
So you developed three sauces for
nationally.
Marriott.
Yeah, but they use nationally.
Wow, that's powerful. So
I thought so.
imagine. So you have sauces that are still in Marriott. You're no longer with Marriott, but people can go to Marriott and eat something just to know that's your sauce or your dish that they're using in Marriott. That's major.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
That chefs should try to do. Like, can they aspire to do things like that? Some people might want to open a restaurant. Some people may want to contract themselves out, like you said right now, for professional football teams. I mean, what are some things that they need to have under their belt when they do go to these people to try to do those things? With you now looking back with hindsight, what are some things that you need to tell these people if they do go to approach these individuals? What do they need to be prepared for, and make sure they have done before they even approach them?
Well, I have to say that these days, if you're looking for a job where you come in contact with high profile individuals, you got to go to school. You got to get a piece of paper. That's the first thing. The second thing is that you got to have experience. You have to have worked at some, whether it be prestigious or not, you need to have work experience to be able to back up what it is that you feel that you can do and provide to these people, because they're not trying to hire you if you don't have any experience. Now it's funny because post pandemic, a lot of people that were in the field have left. So right now it's a good time to get in, to get into the culinary, and because there are a lot of positions available, because of lack of bodies. So it's a prime time to be able to get into the culinary field. But if you, like I said, the way you were talking about, as far as like, if you can come in working as what they call a CDP, which is like not a commie chef, but it's like a prep cook. Somebody who just does
cook, dishwasher, do whatever you got to do to get in the kitchen.
Yeah, but that's how you do it. Chef. It's called CDP is chef de partie, but it's like a prep chef. You come in low level and work your way up. That's what I do.
I'm glad you said that too. And I appreciate you dropping these gems, because sometimes people think they don't want to do certain jobs. It's like, oh, I'm not washing no dishes, or I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. But you'd be surprised what you can learn, especially if you're going to have the business side of it. If you want to own it, you need to be able to do all those positions anyway.
I've done everything. I've mopped floors. I still do. I mean, when it needs to be done, I do it. I mean, wash dishes, bus tables. Because I worked front of the house for 5 years. I worked at Macy's, and I worked at where is it? No, I worked at Macy's for 5 years during the front of the house, and I worked for Marriott doing the back of the house. But yeah, I mean, I've done it all. And I think that's the best way, everybody who's going to the culinary should try to work both sides so they know exactly what's going on.
Wow. So you started out New York City, working, created your own restaurant. Now you're over there in the UK, Manchester over there. And what next? What you have your own sauce being ordered online? What do you want to do now? Like you retired, semi-retired, living the best life, traveling around the world, and you created this residual income, additional supplemental income with, your culinary skills. What next?
Well, I mean, really, what I want to do is I want to build a sauce brand to the point where I can basically sell it and live off the royalties, live off the residuals, because that's my ultimate goal. Is because it's just one of those things where I ain't getting no younger, so that's what I want to do. I
Sell
want
it
to
to
get
like
into
restaurants, so
I want to
like
get
how
into
your
supermarkets.
pasta is, you mean?
Yeah, I'm in the process. I can't really speak on it because nothing has been finalized. But I'm in the process of negotiating a few things with some people. So
Good.
I will keep you abreast
Yay!
as to
That's good. That's what it's
yeah,
about.
yeah.
So as we get ready to come to a close, because I want to respect your time. What time is it where you are now?
It's a little after 9 o'clock.
9 p.m.
9 p.m.
9 p.m. there. It's 4 p.m. here. So that's the thing about when you travel all these different places, you have to be mindful of the different time zones. Everybody's in a different time zone, I am so proud of everything that you have accomplished, but I know that it hasn't all been easy. You talked about all the good. What are a few challenges that you've encountered that you would like to tell anyone who is trying to go in the culinary field to kind of prepare for, kind of like, and since you've already kind of had those bumps and bruises and you already know it's going to happen, is there anything that you can tell anyone to be on the lookout for and kind of just prepare early?
Well, things have changed a bit from the time that I first got into it, because one of the reasons why I started my restaurant was to be able to offer African American young men and women an opportunity to work in the food service industry on a level which is beyond the fast food type places, and to teach them certain types of help them develop a work ethic, and also understanding of food on a level that's probably not ordinarily available to us, put it that way. Our white counterparts have a lot more opportunities than we did in that field, as in other fields as well. So that was the main thing. But things have changed, thank God, quite a bit, and there are more opportunities available for us. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's really about being humble and going into a situation where being open and being willing to do what's being asked of you, to, if you want, obviously within reason. If you're going to a restaurant to work, don't go in there thinking you're going to be the head chef. Don't go in there thinking you're going to be all that, this great I am. Go in there, willing to learn. That's one of the things. I mean, for me, I'm still learning to this day. So you go in with humility and a willingness to learn and work hard, and you'll be able to be successful in whatever you do. I don't care what it is.
That's it. That's the powerful nugget you gave. Don't go in there with the big head, no matter who you cooked for before, no matter who your grandmother was, no matter where your source is already. When you go in there with humility. Humility goes a long, long way. Well, Wayne, I asked you a lot of questions about the different things that you've done and the place that you've gone. Is there anything that you would like to tell the people about? I want you to tell them how they can get your sauce. I know you said they can't get it in the United States, but if there's anything that they can get that you want to let them know, or just anything that you have coming up, or if you're available for them to, I don't know if you do private parties or what, but let the people know.
Yeah, well, at the moment, because I live here and what have you, most of the time, I'm spending doing, just working on my sources, developing that, what have you, and trying to get that, like I said, getting it, to market. But if anybody has any questions about, wanting to get into culinary, any questions, if you want to start, if you're thinking about, getting a product in the market, if you want to, contact me, you hit me up either through Instagram or through Facebook. I'll be more than happy to be able to, if I don't have the information, I'll be able to point you in the direction to get the information that you need. I'm not doing catering at the moment, but I do have some plans on doing some things, some events in probably either in the Jersey City area where I used to live or in the New York area. But that's like a little bit down the road, and I will let y'all know as things progress with that, because I'm also in the process of being able to provide the sources, have the sources developed and processed in the United States. So they'll be easier to get.
I thank you for saying that, because
Mm-hmm.
people, it's good to talk to somebody who has done it. Talk to somebody who is doing what you want to do. Ali Sadiq, how you doing, sir? Thank you so much for popping in. I appreciate you. I would love to get your story. I can't wait to share. If you're not following Ali Sadiq, y'all, follow this young man. He is an amazing comedian, hilarious. I mean, if you don't know who he is, Google him. Yeah. He is absolutely amazing. Funny man, well-renowned, and I'm just honored that he popped in on this live for sure. He is absolutely amazing. He came to Raleigh, North Carolina. I went to his show, and I'm telling you, he just unbelievable. But we're listening to Chef Wayne out there in Manchester. He has his own product out there in the market. He has shared with you about how you can get yourself out in the market, the things that are available to you. Take heed to some of the things that he's told you. And we normally are doing story time on Sundays at 6 p.m., but because of the difference in time, we respectfully did come on early at 3 p.m. So because it would have been 1 o'clock in the morning there, it would have been midnight. But that's the thing. If you're out here and you're connected with people nationally, be mindful of the time difference, Wayne, I'm looking forward to coming out there to see you and the missus, man. I need to get out that way. I haven't been there yet.
Yeah, well, you definitely got a space here, and I know somebody. He's a pretty good cook, so you don't have to worry about that as well. So we got plenty of room.
Yeah, and I'm so sad that you can't come to the reunion this year.
Oh man, I don't even want to talk about it. I don't want to bring it up.
Yeah, man. Listen, man. We had about 200 people. I'm hoping we get another 200.
Yeah,
it's good to be alive and to have, to be able to just come together again.
Yeah.
And so I'm just truly blessed to be able to be a vessel to try to pull that off again, because people want to get back together again.
Oh, yeah. But Crystal, I want to tell you something, though. I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share my story with y'all, and how much, how privileged I feel, that you asked me. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, I believe everybody has a story, and a lot of times people don't understand their backstory. They don't know where they come from. They don't know how they got there. They don't understand how they feel. Sometimes people make you smile. Like, for instance, comedians. They say all the time, comedians, it's hard because they're always making people laugh, but they have a story. Sometimes they don't want to laugh because they've been through something, And we are doing it for somebody else. You're sharing for somebody else, everything you've been through. And there's some people that watch us on social media, and there's some people that could be suicidal, depressed, alone. You never know who's watching, and they may not watch now. They may come back and watch the replay. So just being able to take advantage of what the world has given us, because we didn't have this back in the day when we were in high school.
No,
we didn't have internet. We didn't have social media. So this is something that every entrepreneur, every business owner, every entertainer, everybody needs to take advantage of this. There's no reason not to. If you are doing anything in the world, you should be on social media. And if you have a story, I am here for you. You don't have to, it doesn't matter how many people follow you. It doesn't matter where you've been, what you've done, if you've arrived yet, because guess what? You're just as important. Your story matters. And that's what we say here on Storytime. Your story matters, because you just never know all it takes is that one person. So Wayne, I thank you for your time. I love you. I appreciate you.
I love you too, darling.
So much respect for what you do. And, put it out there and put the website out there so people can get that sauce. I'm looking forward to hearing the story. The next time I have some sauce in Marriott, if it's a pot sauce, I'll be like, I know the sauce, man. I know the guy who made this sauce. I mean, that's important. That's important. That's a part of your legacy, man. That's a part of your legacy. To do something and to leave something behind. We are making a difference. You understand what I'm saying? That's what I need everybody to understand. Your story matters. It is helping somebody each and every day. Do not keep your story to yourself. Do not do that. Use your voice. Make a difference. We all have a voice of change, and that's what we need to do. Wayne, but I'm going to thank you so much. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, follow Chef Wayne. If you're in the culinary field, and you are looking to get started, or you've gotten started, but you ran into some bumps and bruises, contact him. If he's made a difference in your life, like, shout him out. You heard him talk about some people who made a difference in his life. It is important to go back and say, thank you, guys. Go back and thank the people who have given you some pointers. Thank the person who gave you that job. Thank the person who gave you that tip. Thank them. And most importantly, if you didn't get nothing else out of this interview, send a positive message back when you go eat in a restaurant to the chef. Don't just leave the tip on the table for the waiter and the waitress. Tell them to tell the chef that you enjoyed the meal, because it makes the difference. I believe that's important. Any closing comments, Wayne?
Not really, other than, I'm hoping that through this opportunity that my story's inspired somebody. Again, like I said, if anybody has any questions or anything like that, you guys hit me up, either on Facebook and Instagram, and my sources are available at soulflavorsuk.com. And thank you again.
Yes, it's been an inspiration to me, and I thank you for your time. I'm gonna let you get your rest now, and keep me posted, man. Keep me posted, man. I'm gonna take you up on that offer. I'm coming to the UK, man. I'm coming.
I got you, girl. I got you.
Coming out there. Like I'm supposed to, like, this in April. I'm supposed to go to Hawaii this month, and next month's supposed to be the Dominican Republic. So I'm trying to put the list out. Got a cruise schedule for October. I like to go, man. Listen, you said it, and I'm gonna say this in closing. You said you worked so you could do this. You said now you are reaping what you have sown. People, if you are 50 or 60 years old, you should be at a point in your life where you can enjoy yourself just a little bit. If you are 20 and 30 years old, I encourage you today to start preparing for your future, how you want to live in the future. It is what you do now that will help you to sustain the lifestyle then. So you can't be careless with your money. Make good choices, make good investments, be around people that share wisdom and knowledge and understanding. Make wise choices. I'm telling you. I'm going to let y'all get out of here. You've been listening to Story Time. We'll be back on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And again, Sunday is normally 6 p.m. So we'll see you next time. We are booked right now to June. We are booked up every Sunday and Tuesday to June.
Amazing.
Every Sunday and Tuesday to June. So hit me up in your DM. I will do a special for you. Ali Sadiq, I hope to hear from you, man. I definitely want to get this story out there. And to anybody out there, let's go. Your story matters. I'm Crystal Bodie Smith. I'm your Hope Catalyst. My mission is to stir up the gift, instill hope, and save lives. You've been listening to Chef Wayne. Follow him. God bless you, Wayne. I love you. See y'all later.
I love you too, baby girl.
All righty. Time. Bye-bye.